Well, shall we go ahead?
Sounds good. So welcome. So good afternoon, everyone. I appreciate you taking the time today. This is one of our disability education series. Today it will be on ADRCs, and you'll find out a little bit more on that in just a bit. My name is Dawn Dew. I'm the chair of the Statewide Independent Living Council. I have a few housekeeping items to go over before we get started. First, I want to acknowledge Melanie Davis. She's from the University Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities, and she'll be helping in the background during this series. These sessions have been put together by what is known now as the Nebraska Disability Advocates. It's a group that includes representatives of over 2 organizations across the state. So it's grown from the inception last year during the ADA, when we had our first educational series. There's a list of keystrokes for Zoom available in the Dropbox, which Melanie has either put there in the chat or will put there. And that's the place to look for a lot of that, and I think that's already in there for you. Depending on what device you're using, since everybody's using something different, whether it's a phone, tablet, computer, the toolbar will either be on the top or the bottom of the screen. There are 2 sign language interpreters today. They are spotlighted, so you'll be able to see them and make sure that if there's any problem with not being able to find them on here, since we do have a lot of participants, just let us know either in the chat or the Q&A box at the bottom. All sessions are closed captioned. We do have a closed captioning person. At the toolbar, there is a box that has CC and it says closed caption. You can always click on that and it should start showing the closed captioning. If you have any questions from the presenters, please use the Q&A as opposed to the chat. That's one thing that will keep it separate, so when the presenters are presenting, we can see when people have questions. So I would ask questions all along if that's their preference, but they should actually say when they're starting to present if they want to take questions at the end or as they're going. I'm going to hand it over to Mary Angus. She's going to talk a little bit about who's presenting today, and we'll take it from there. But that's the housekeeping part. If you have any questions, please feel free to put it into the chat as far as housekeeping goes. So thank you. Enjoy.
Take myself there. That sounds good, Don. I was on mute for a moment there. There's also a Q&A chat that you can use too if you have questions. I tell you what, I just started with this whole thing after a few discussions, and I realized how little I really knew about the ADRCs, the Aging and Disabilities Resource Centers. And while I was working with all these wonderful folks, I found out I even know less than I thought I knew. And I'm really glad that I'm going to be hearing more about it today. And I will be probably contacting these folks again some other time when I've got a question. So I'm really happy they're involved and I'm happy to be involved. Rather than introduce them individually, I'm going to ask them and then ask them to do the same thing. You know, it's not necessary. I'm going to ask them to tell you a little bit about themselves and what organization they represent. They'll describe their roles as the presentation goes forward. So please first welcome Loya Fritz and Mary O'Hare. Loya, you want to start it out with telling us a little bit about you, please?
Sure. Mary and I are project coordinators for the Aging and Disability Resource Center. And we have actually worked together as business partners for about 10 years, and 5 of those have been with the ADRC. I will turn it to Mary now to kind of introduce a little bit more about what we're going to share with you today.
Mary, you're on mute.
Always helpful if you're presenting to take yourself off of mute. Just,
Yes.
Word of wisdom here. So anyway, I just wanted to say thank you all for coming. It's great to see such a great crowd. I will go into more depth about the ADRC, giving you a little bit of a one-on-one, and then we'll go over and talk with our panelists. But I'm Mary O'Hare. I'm the O'Hare of Fritz and O'Hare. And we have contracted with, been contracted to do several different types of things with the ADRC since its inception.
Just a minute, Mary.
Really happy.
Just a minute, Mary. Some of the folks are having some difficulty hearing you. Could you get closer to the mic, please?
Let me just change this here. I didn't mean to be such a problem child, but I guess I am. So anyway, I'm Mary O'Hare, and I'll be presenting today, and I will now turn it back over to Mary Angus and have the rest of folks introduce themselves, and hope they do a better job than I did.
Absolutely perfect. That's one thing about Zoom. Mistakes are totally expected, not only accepted. Shauna, would you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
I'm Shauna Dahlgren with the Easter Seals, Nebraska. I've been at Easter Seals for a little over 16 years. And prior to that time, I spent about 5 years at Community Alliance, which is a mental health rehabilitation agency. So for the entire time, I've worked with individuals who have all different types of disabilities and want to work. And so I will be sharing more information about Easter Seals and our services a little bit later when we do the panel.
Super, and that's probably as long as I've known you too, is that long back. Kathy, please. That's Kathy K, not Kathy Hall.
Hi, my name is Kathy Kay, and I am the CEO at the League of Human Dignity. We are an incorporation here in Nebraska. We have Centers for Independent Living, and we also have offices throughout the state that do the home community-based services, age and disabled waiver. We also have a Center for Independent Living in Iowa. And today we're going to be talking about the services specific to the ADRC and what our role is as an organization that works with disabilities that is statewide. Thank you.
And I'm not playing favorites. I'm counting on everybody as they see them on my screen, which leaves us to Andrea.
Hi, my name is Andrea Cox, and I work with Midland Area Agency on Aging. We are out of the Hastings location. I supervise a program here called Choices, and then I also supervise the Aging and Disability Resource Center that operates out of the Midland office. There are options counselors at every area agency on aging across the state, except for in the North Platte office. And we'll talk more about that as we do our introductions and get through the presentation.
Thank you, Andrea. And I'm going to mention right now, there are tons of wonderful coordinators of the ADRCs across the state, the AAAs, et cetera. And unfortunately, we couldn't fit all of them on one screen. So that's Andrea got to be with us today. Peggy, how about you?
So I'm Peggy Reicher. I'm the Executive Director for the Brain Injury Alliance of Nebraska. I've been in this position for several years. I helped kind of start our organization. We're a small nonprofit that has a statewide reach, where our focus is kind of helping to support individuals with brain injury. I myself personally have a master's degree in social work and have been in the field of brain injury for, it's a little under 30 years, but I keep getting older. So I'll eventually get to the 30 years.
Wonderful. At 30 years, no. Mark, it's your turn, please.
I better unmute then. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mark Smith. I'm a assistant professor at the University of Nebraska Medical Center's Monroe-Meyer Institute. I'm happy to report that I'm coming to you from our new building on the UNO Pacific campus at 69th and Pine Street in Omaha. It's been a kind of a busy month. We've been involved in the ADRC from the start in terms of setting up the initial legislation and participating in the development of the network. I helped coordinate that project here. We now have are providing options counseling and some of the other services from Monroe-Meyer. We focus in particular on individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, as well as families, parents that have children with intellectual and developmental disabilities, but we really serve people across the spectrum of disabilities. So we can pretty much, if we don't know how to handle a problem, we usually know who to call. I should add personally, I'm a parent of and a sibling of young adults with intellectual disabilities and have been here for a little bit over 18 years. So really glad to be here and glad everyone has joined. Thanks.
Well, I believe we've all gotten introduced. You can see Melanie's work in the chat box. And I'm going to then turn it over to Mary and Loya. I think, Mary, you're the one that's setting off the PowerPoint. Is that correct? And if anybody needs to see the captioning or the interpreter, go ahead and put it on the standard view, I believe it is, and you'll be able to see. Mary, you're not, we can't hear you. Is your computer sound down? Because
Oh, that could be.
that's better.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can hear you now. Thank you.
Okay. Now I have to get back to my, hang on just a second.
We can see the first slide of your
You can,
screen.
okay. Okay, so let's start off with the next slide, Loya. So let's start off with a little history here. First off, I would like to say, before we get started with that, if you have any questions, please put them in the question and answer option, and we'll answer them at the end of the presentation. Just for time's sake, we want to make sure we get through everything, so we'll answer questions at the end. And I'm going to ask you once again, can you hear me? Am I okay now?
Yes, you're doing okay, Mary.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the ADRC was established by the Nebraska legislation in 2015 as a pilot and gained permanent status by Nebraska legislation in 2018. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the state senator that fought for us so fearlessly in bringing the ADRC into reality, and that's former Senator Kate Bowles. It was through the hard work of the area agencies on aging, better known as AAAs, the disability partners that are here with us today, and Senator Bowles, that Nebraska has this much needed resource for the aging and disability communities. During the pilot stage of the ADRC, sites were located in 7 of the 8 AAAs. Of significant importance is the 2018 legislation. That legislation moved the ADRC from the pilot status, which had funding for, I believe, just a couple of years, to permanent status and permanent funding through state general funds. So we are a fixture. We are real. Today, the 7 AAAs continue to operate ADRC sites and additionally contract with the 4 disability partners that are here today to provide ADRC services for the disability community. Responsibility for the ADRC is assigned to the State Unit on Aging within the Department of Health and Human Services, Medicaid and Long-Term Care Division, and Cynthia Braumeyer heads the State Unit on Aging. So what's the purpose of the ADRC? First off, ADRCs are not unique to Nebraska. ADRCs currently operate in over 465 community sites across 50 states and territories, representing over 70% of the United States population. As you folks all know, figuring out how to obtain services and benefits can be a big challenge. ADRCs build on the strength of existing community-based agencies to provide a single, more coordinated system of information and access for all persons of all incomes seeking long-term support. The goal is to minimize confusion, enhance individual choice, and support informed decision-making. ADRCs provide unbiased, reliable information and counseling to individuals. They assist a wide range of individuals, including family caregivers, in obtaining long-term services and supports in the most desirable and appropriate setting. Because ADRCs do not limit their services to low-income individuals, ADRCs can help families with private resources use their resources more wisely. And that may delay or prevent spend down to Medicaid or unnecessary institutionalization. Nebraskans who are aging or have a disability, their advocate, caregiver, or even an agency professional can call or walk into an ADRC provider site or set an appointment to discuss with a trained staff member the services and supports they may qualify for. Services and supports can be things like Medicaid, housing assistance, assistance in the home, such as housekeeping or home health, financial assistance, etc. It is important to note that the ADRCs provide assistance to help individuals find services and supports. They do not provide the services and supports on a long-term basis. Their job is to help individuals work through the maze of services and supports available and obtain the help they need. This includes both local, state, and federal assistance. ADRCs providers may refer consumers to needed services and supports within their in-house range of services. For instance, the ADRC provider within an AAA may assist a consumer with access to care management within their agency. A disability partner may refer to longer-term case management or Medicaid waiver services provided within their agency. Essentially, ADRC staff work with an individual to receive the right service at the right time in the right place. So the people we serve: persons with disabilities of any age, persons age 60 and older, family members, caregivers, advocates, and providers. Unlike a lot of programs, the ADRC operates under very liberal eligibility criteria. If you fit into any of the categories above, you are eligible. Individuals do not need to provide any type of proof of eligibility. Next, let's talk a little bit about the partners. So here are our partners, and we have representatives from all of our disability partners today who have introduced themselves. And we also have listed that for you there, the AAAs around the state. And I will just let you know where all of them are located. The agency office of Western Nebraska is located in Scottsbluff. Blue Rivers Area Agency on Aging is located in Beatrice. Eastern Nebraska Office of Aging is located in Omaha. Midland Area Agency on Aging is located in Hastings. Northeast Nebraska Area Agency on Aging is located in Norfolk. And South Central Area Agency on Aging is located in Kearney. As Andrea mentioned earlier, there is one AAA location, and that's West Central Nebraska Area Agency on Aging that's located in North Platte that has not chosen to be an ADRC site. Our four disabilities partners, Brain Injury Alliance, Easter Seals, League of Human Dignity, and Monroe Meyer. The AAAs have specific counties that they cover, while these disability partners cover throughout the state. Important distinction there. So let's move on to what are ADR services? How are they defined and what are they? The titles are information and referral, options counseling, transition options counseling, benefits assistance, and mobility training. So this next slide here shows you where the different ADRC services are located. Each ADRC site can choose which of the ADRC services they want to provide. So if you look at the right side or the left side of the chart, listed, the service type is listed, and above the ADRC sites are listed, and the check marks indicate which services each one of these sites provide. Want to mention that the disability partners entered into a contract to deliver ADRC services in September of 2020. Okay, so now let's break down those services a bit and talk a little bit about each one of them. And the service definitions for each of our ADRC services are designated by the State Unit on Aging. So we'll start off here with information and referral, or better known as INR. The purpose of INR is to maintain information about human service resources in the community and to link ADRC eligible individuals who need assistance with appropriate service providers and or supply descriptive information about the agencies or organization that offer services. The process includes establishing contact with the individual, assessing the individual's long and short-term needs and preferences, identifying resources to meet those needs, providing a referral to an identified resource, which may include a warm handoff with an agency, and following up based on individual preference to ensure that his or her needs have been met. This service is delivered on a one-to-one basis, either via telephone, email, or home or community visit. The individual or caller can remain anonymous. Okay, next up is options counseling. Options counseling helps individuals in need of long-term services and supports and his or her representatives to make informed choices about the services and settings which best meet their long-term care needs. Options counseling is a natural extension of the INR process. It is a decision support process whereby individuals are assisted to evaluate and weigh their long-term services and support options. It is designated for individuals who have little knowledge about their options and limited capability in pursuing long-term services and supports independently. Individuals most likely have not received long-term services and supports in the past and find themselves at a loss of where to turn for help. ADRC staff work with the individual to explore their options, both publicly and privately funded, and provide hands-on assistance in applying and securing services. Services typically are provided face-to-face in an ADRC office or in an individual's home. These services, options counseling, are short-term, less than 6 months, Options counseling can be considered basically a form of light care or case management. One of our newer services is transitional options counseling. Transitional options counseling is designed to assist individuals and their chosen caregivers and representatives when experiencing a specific time-limited problem. For example, a transition from hospitalization to independent living. An ADRC provider offers assistance to obtain and coordinate the support services that can facilitate the change. ADRC providers, in partnership with an individual and chosen others, assess the individual's preferences and needs, develop an action plan to address preferences and needs, implement the action plan, and follow up on progress. Currently, transition options counseling is provided by the League of Human Dignity, Monroe Meyer Institute, and Easter Seals, Nebraska. Benefits assistance. Benefits assistance is designed to help individuals who are having difficulty understanding and or obtaining payments, services, or other benefits for which they may be eligible. The delivery of benefits assistance may include any or all of the following: assisting individuals in understanding their criteria and process for obtaining benefits, assisting in understanding beneficiary rights, providing consultation and advice on benefit options, and assisting in completing benefits application forms. Benefits assistance is delivered on a one-to-one basis, either over the phone, email, or face-to-face. Currently, benefits assistance is provided by Aging Partners, Midland AAA, South Central AAA, Easter Seals, Nebraska, League of Human Dignity, and Monroe Meyer Institute. Finally, we'll talk a little bit about mobility training. Mobility training is designed to provide individuals, including new riders, commuters, and others, training on the transportation options that are available in their community. The goal is to provide the training needed so that individuals can use the system effectively. Mobility training encourages the use of public transportation by building rider confidence and comfort with the system, where there is a system. Individuals learn the basic components of the public transit system, rural handyman system, bus stops, and others. Travel skills include how to read a bus schedule, schedule a handyman pickup, find the bus closest to work or home, participate in a car or van pool, and plan a commute using the system. These are all taught as needed and appropriate. Instructions may be provided on an individual or group basis and may involve field training in which the individual is accompanied by an ADRC provider while learning the transportation system. Currently, the League of Human Dignity is the only ADRC provider who offers mobility training. So let's move on here and talk a little bit about statistics and the data that we've collected over the past year. And the past year we're talking about is actually 2019, 2020 ADRC data. This is collected by the State Unit on Aging. And I want to make sure I preference this before we begin, that the disability partners did not begin delivering service until the fall of 2020. So they are not included in the data report, but they will be next year. Our first chart shows the number of contacts between ADRC providers and Nebraskans throughout the state. Important to note here is that a contact does not represent a unique individual. Rather, an individual may have several contacts with an ADRC provider. This data pertains to the overall number of contacts, either in person or over the phone, the ADRCs conducted over the past, over a year's worth of time, 2019/2020. As you can see, the State Unit on Aging reports that in 2019, 2020, over 8,000 contacts were made. The majority of the contacts were made utilizing the information and referral services. The next thing we'll talk about is the age. What is the age of consumers typically using ADRC? It is important to note that for the information and referral service, a consumer does not have to provide his or her age. As a result, there were at least about 1,500 individuals who did not report their age. So looking at the data here, it's pretty easy to see that most individuals are 70 years of age or older, followed by those 65 to 74 years of age. It is hypothesized that those under 60 are potentially not aware that ADRC services can be provided to them, or that the ADR services even exist. We do hope that the number of those under 60 years of age will increase over time with the addition of the disability partners and folks like you getting the word out. Let's take a look at the health condition or disability that people report to us as they begin utilizing ADRC services. It's important to remember here that individuals voluntarily report their health conditions and or disabilities. We don't ask for any proof of the condition or disability. The list of health conditions and disabilities we have chosen to use and collect data on are from the CMS Chronic Condition Warehouse. As you might imagine, many individuals report more than one condition and or disability. We do have an other category, and that contains items that include but are not limited to health conditions that are not listed in our system, as well as individually reported non-health items and or acronyms. So our top 5 most reported health conditions or disabilities are physical disabilities is number 1, followed by Alzheimer's or dementia, mental health, heart disease or failure, and cancer. Give you a little bit of a second here to take a look at that. We do collect data on a lot of different health conditions and disabilities. Okay, let's talk a little bit about contacts by target population. The next chart you're going to see, it examines the ADRC contacts by target population by AAA. Keep in mind that this data does not include contacts made by the disability partners, again, as they were not delivering ADRC services during this time period. Each of the 7 AAAs is listed on the bottom of this chart with the number of contacts listed below the agency name. A quick reminder is that contacts do not represent unique individuals. Again, it's highly likely that one individual may have numerous contacts with an ADRC provider. Again, the majority of the folks that we're serving, the majority of contacts are with people at 60 years of age and older. Finally, we have some data on where folks that we're serving, where they're living. Keep in mind again that individuals don't really have to redisclose this information to receive ADRC services. So the information represents only about 26% of the uniquely identified individuals served throughout the state. So on this pie chart, you can see that we collect on a number of different settings, including at home with informal supports, which are typically unpaid family members, friends, or neighbors. At home with formal supports, which are paid caregivers. At home without formal or informal supports. Nursing facilities, community living settings such as assisted living settings or group homes, hospitals, rehab facilities, and those that are homeless. By far, the largest number of Nebraskans served are living at home with informal supports, followed by those with no supports at all. So for our work in ADRC, teamwork is essential, and we do this in several different ways. We have an ADRC leadership team that consists of representatives of each partner agency and the State Union on Aging. We have state work networking. ADRC service providers are connected to local, state, and regional organizations to stay up to speed on current resources. Additionally, staff are connected to each other, which is very important, to stay informed about resources, services, supports, training opportunities, and system changes. Statewide training is also provided to ADRC providers to keep them up to date. If you have a relevant topic that you think would benefit ADRC providers, feel free to reach out to us to schedule a presentation. We're always looking for ways to broaden our horizons. We have a quality assurance team. Members of this team help the ADRC deliver quality service. The team typically addresses issues such as data collection, systems issues, policies, and procedures, all that good stuff. And last but not least is our consumer review. We have found this very helpful. ADRC staff discuss individual situations each month. We do a lot of problem solving and knowledge sharing that leads to potential avenues for providers to pursue when they really can't find a path forward to help with short and long-term needs. We really do have a lot of expertise on those calls, and it has helped a lot of folks find and problem solve different situations that given that working alone in a silo, they probably could not have come up with the best solution. So what's in the future for the ADRC? One thing I want to make sure folks are aware of that ADRC is a stepping stone to a no wrong door system. Want to tell you a quote that I picked up from the Nebraska redesign plan produced by Mercer in August of 2017. Quote, the no wrong door system builds on the strengths of the AAAs and the Centers for Independent Living by providing a single, more coordinated system of information and access for all consumers seeking long-term care, both publicly and privately funded. In Nebraska, the ADRC demonstration should play a critical part of the no wrong door system. This minimizes confusion, maximizes consumer choice, and supports informed decision making, end quote. The ADRC leadership team continues to work to fully integrate disability partners into the delivery of ADRC services. We are in full steam ahead mode and hopeful that we can support a younger population of Nebraskans in the future through the ADRC disability partners. Please help us spread the word. Another effort here, process is underway to secure federal matching funds through Medicaid administrative claiming. Although state funding is secured for ADRC services, it is not enough to cover the cost associated with the delivery of the services. We are hopeful that federal funding will be available through Medicaid administrative claiming soon. The ADRC providers are working hard to make this happen. Finally, plans are being made to integrate the current ADRC resource website with Nebraska's 211 site. Okay, stopping there for some questions. Goya, if there are questions, can you read them in the chat for me?
Well, I'm not seeing any questions in the chat right now. However, I want to know where you came up with that Nebraska around you.
You know, that's a good question. That is, to be absolutely honest with you, we switched from that. The state switched from that. The state runs the website. They switched from that, which was a website that we thought was working fairly well to another, it's called Around Your website. So that's something that they chose once we changed our database collection system. So we're really looking forward to taking everything from our old website and putting it into the 211 website. And I believe they're working on that now. Quite frankly, the Aranja does not have a lot of the information that the old website had.
Okay, thank you. Is anyone else? I'm looking here, I see. Oh yeah, Beth Jordan says, thank you for the clarification. And Graciela, a few minutes ago, said, good to know, thank you.
Yes.
And if there aren't any other questions, I don't see anything in the chat. I do want to acknowledge that there are lots of really good resource folks in the audience too. So that would be interesting sometime maybe to have some of them be on. Okay. Did you want to say anything, Loya? Or
I think Mary covered it all. From here, our plan is to have our disability partners help share their information, as well as Andrea representing the AAAs. And so I believe maybe Andrea was going to kick off that group with their discussions.
Melanie, would you tell me if you're seeing questions in the chat box? I've got a couple of folks telling me there are some. I think most of it was earlier.
Only one question.
Mary, excuse
I'm
me.
not sure if you already read it. It was from a D, and she would like to know if the chore services only work under waiver.
Who would like to field that one? The chore services only work under waiver.
I think what we should do is we should have each panelist do the presentation and then the questions at the end, because some might be answered. And this is only, pertaining to ADRC. And I think we need to just talk about what's under the ADRC.
Okay, and then at some point, Graciela would like to know a question. She's got some questions about whether services are available to non-citizen individuals. But I think that's going to be clear as we go. Let's see, I have, Andrea, do you want to pick it up from here?
Sounds good. So Mary did a great job of giving an overview. So I'll kind of just do a little bit of a focus on where we are with the Area Agencies on Aging and what our role has been so far. Like I said earlier, I work with Midland Area Agency on Aging, and we are out of the Hastings office. We cover 8 counties around us. But there are 7 other area agencies on aging across the state of Nebraska that all have excellent options counselors that we, as a group, collectively make sure that every county across the state of Nebraska is covered. Currently, we've been involved since the beginning of the pilot program and have been super excited about being able to help to bridge those connections to much needed services for people who maybe know there's services out there, but didn't know how to connect to those, or have attempted to connect to services before and stumbled. And so we do a lot of just answering questions, translating services, helping people understand how to connect to available supports. As Mary said, our jobs as options counselors and through the ADRC is not to provide those services. Our job is to help to build those links to the individuals out across the state of Nebraska that are already providing those, but maybe the person didn't know how to connect to them. So there was a question earlier about chore services. So if you were to call into the ADRC, we would take that phone call and then we would visit with you to try and gain a better understanding as far as what you were looking for in regards to chore services. If waiver was an option, we would help to connect you to the appropriate people through waiver. If it's a private pay situation, we're going to look at services through private pay. If it's something that we thought you would be available or eligible to be able to receive services maybe through economic assistance, because there's supports out there for that too, then we'd help to connect you there. So each case is very individual. I don't know that any of the other options counselors would say that they take the same scenario phone calls ever. There's a very wide range of calls that we get. You know, our job is not to know everything, but our job is to know maybe who to call to connect you to, so that instead of you making 15 phone calls on your own to find the right person, maybe we can save you and we do 2. So again, like I said, every county across the state is covered. I'm just one of the offices. There's lots of 7 other options counselors out there that are all very knowledgeable and that are very involved in that also. I was going to explain some more of like the information and referral and the options counseling, but Mary, that was covered pretty thoroughly. So I'm going to kind of skip that part and let people ask questions, because I think sometimes that question answer process is answers more that way. So
Did she cover it all for you guys? It looks like the answers are pretty much have been answered. I think, Kathy, is there quickly a reason that you don't provide the white cane use, or does that go through the Commission for the Blind?
Well, through the ADRC, when we're talking about mobility training, what that is, I wanted to talk about is that's how to use public transportation, learn the routes, learn how to apply for services to use public transportation. Now, we do work with people who are vision impaired, but if this is a person that is wanting the specific training on, it's a person who is recently diagnosed or is learning just to completely ambulate using the white cane, that is much more in depth than what we would be doing, because we are doing it pertaining to transportation. That would be a lot longer, more involved, but what we would do, because this is what Centers for Independent Living have done forever, is we would do that information and referral piece and refer them to somebody. But if it's to do, yes, we do work with people that are vision impaired that use the white cane and are helping them figure out the transportation routes. But in actually learning how to do that, that is a little bit more, that is a specific type of training that we don't provide. Hope that's clear.
I think that did it. Thank you. I'm going to go to Shauna next about Easter seals. So would you take it away?
Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, my name is Shauna Dahlgren. I'm with Easter Seals, Nebraska, and the speakers before me have kind of gone over some of the information that will hopefully be helpful as far as the specific definitions of services as they relate to the ADRC and everything. So as Andrea said, I'm not going to try to cover that again, but I will say as far as Easter Seals, Nebraska, and this may have been pointed out already, there is a document that I believe is in the Dropbox that is a Programs at a Glance document. So it will help define or share information with anybody who looks at that as far as each of the AAAs, each of the disability partners, and which services that we provide, whether they're ADRC services or non-ADRC services. And I guess I would add too that each of the disability partners do provide non-ADRC services. And so I know the focus today is ADRC services. However, through that information and referral process, or through the services that are provided through the ADRC, that's one of the reasons that an options counselor might refer out to one of the disability partners, is for those non-ADRC services that the ADRC or that AAA does not directly provide. So I think it is important to know about each of the disability partners, not only what ADRC services they provide, but also maybe have an idea of the non-ADRC services that are provided as well. So you can see either in the Programs at a Glance or what has been shared already, as far as Easter Seals Nebraska, we do, and the ADRC services, we provide the information and referral services, the options counseling, and then the benefits assistance. And there's some clarification in that programs at a glance as far as providing benefits assistance and the different types of services that are included in that. And Mary kind of indicated that earlier when she was talking and kind of defining benefits assistance. But at Easter Seals Nebraska, we do help individuals with any and all of the services and supports that are included in that. So I guess I just wanted to share that. Again, we do provide services across the state of Nebraska in all of the counties. And then also some of our programs actually sort of break those state boundaries. So some of our non-ADRC programs, we do provide services throughout the nation actually. So I think that's important to know as well. And then I guess I'll just briefly share the non-ADRC services that we provide. Again, the description is in the programs at a glance, so I'm not going to go into that too much, but just know that we do provide some employment services, some benefits planning services, which is a little bit more than just the benefits assistance that was discussed. It's really helping individuals who receive Social Security, disability, or SSI benefits want to work and sort of navigate those federal, state, and local benefit systems and understand the work incentives that are available. So that's a little bit more. We do also provide different levels of camp and recreation services throughout the state. We have Agribility, which is working with farmers and ranchers who have been injured or have a serious health condition. And then we do have some alternative financing or loan programs, if you will, for Nebraskans with disabilities or parents of children with disabilities who need home modifications or maybe need some assistive technology or something like that. So I think the point of today and having the disability partners here was just to share a little bit about our agencies, how we connect to the ADRC, kind of a little bit about that referral process, but also to know the disability partner a little bit. So I guess the only thing that I'd like to add right now is just that, you know, as far as working with the ADRC and those options counselors, Mary and Andrea and everybody have kind of indicated already this is somewhat new to the ADRC. So there are still some things that we're, you know, sort of working through and figure out the best way to collaborate with each other. But we are very open and with each other and have a lot of conversation. So just doing our best as far as both the AAAs and the disability partners to make sure that individuals who are getting connected one way or the other are getting the best information that any of us can provide and getting as directly connected to the resources that they need if we're not the ones that are able to provide them directly. So I think that is what I will share for now and give the other partners a chance to share theirs if you want to move to the next person, Mary.
Thank you. And that would be Kathy. But before she goes to that, I want to thank you guys for all of the accolades I'm getting. When Mary did this and Mary did that, I feel like you're telling me I did it. So let's go ahead and go to Kathy at the League.
Well, I think one of the most important things for everybody that is attending this to get out of this, and Mary touched on it, of course, Mary O'Hare, when she was giving the recap on and what the ADRC is it was created because so many people don't know where to turn. And we always hear, whether it's the AAAs or it's Easter Seals or brain injury or Monroe Meyer or the League, we didn't know you were available. I wish I'd heard about you sooner. So this was created 5 years ago to get those people that were falling through the cracks. And it is a way so people can call in, and instead of being told, gee, we can't help you with that, it's, I can't help you, but I think I know who can. It's a warm handoff, and people aren't left scrambling, trying to figure their way in how do I apply for disability services? How do I get the equipment I need? Where are the support groups? Where do I go? And that is the most important thing, that you can call any of these people and they are able, because of this team we've put together, to make sure people don't get frustrated more than they already are, and they have a place to go. And it's that warm handoff. So information referral, that is huge on this. And just like, and Shauna's shaking her head, yes, because it is huge. We know pretty much what each other does because we work together all the time. But somebody that's recently diagnosed with a traumatic brain injury may not know where to turn. And they might need more services. Peggy can start with them and then she can send them on, and we all work together. So that is the most important thing. This is to keep people from slipping through the cracks. We don't ever want to hear again in Nebraska, I didn't know where to turn. We want to hear, call your local ADRC and go from there. That's the most important thing. And if you don't take anything else out of this, just realize you can call any of us that you're seeing up here. You can look at our websites, and we all know enough about each other now to say, we know who to hook you up with if we can't do it. And that, I think, is the real beauty of the ADRC, that we're able to help people at a time when they are feeling frustrated, vulnerable, and maybe alone and don't know where to turn. That's why this was created. And yes, we do a lot of other things other than what's listed under the ADRC. All these organizations provide so many different things, but the really important part of the ADRC is that information and referral. So help people get what they need. If you can't do it, if we can't do it, we can find someone who can. And that, I think, is the biggest wonderful thing about the ADRC. And I would be willing to go off to the next partner now, and then at the end, if people have questions, because I think you said that is so important that we get that going. So that's all I'm going to say for now. So do I send it to the next partner, or what do I do?
I can handle that. I thank you very much, Kathy.
You
And
betcha.
I have my alphabets back and forth between first names and organizations, and Peggy's name comes later on, but her brain, the Brain Injury Alliance would have been earlier. So Peggy, go on.
I wondered why I was not in order. So
We're still saving the best for last. Though.
there you go. Well, again, thank you all for being here and being a part of this webinar so you can learn more about the ADRC. Kathy K., I applaud you. That was really well stated. We do hope indeed everyone walks away from this going, I don't know where to turn, but I know now I can go to the ADRC. The thing that's maybe unique about the Brain Injury Alliance of Nebraska and the work that we do is we really are focused on brain injury specifically. And when we think about brain injury, we don't think just about the traumatic ones, the bumps, the blows, the jolt to the head, but we're also there to help support individuals who've maybe had a stroke or a brain cancer, tumor, an anoxic injury, an aneurysm. Any of that stuff falls under our brain injury. It happened to your brain after you were born, so therefore we want to be available to help you out and navigate the system. Because a lot of folks are going to start off life feeling pretty normal, and then if you have an injury, it kind of throws you off. So our fame to the name is just like, if you know of somebody who's had a brain injury, what we want to do is help you kind of navigate those systems. And we know that not everybody in our community are going to be brain injury experts. Heck, there's times when we're still learning every day. But what we want to do is work with those individuals and work with our partners here to figure out, okay, there's not a great delivery system specifically for brain injury, but what can we do to help you navigate your new normal? And it's not necessarily a normal that you want, but what can we do to help build that sense of community and support? And we've been doing that through some what we call resource facilitation. When the ADRC opportunity became available to us as a disability partner, it's like, gosh, we kind of like, that's what we do already. This will be a great fit for us. And plus an opportunity for us to expand the knowledge that folks have about Brain Injury Alliance in Nebraska. We are a 501c3, as we all are around the table here, but we're a really small group. We have a staff of 2 full-time and 2 part-time. we are hoping to grow. But with that, even though we are located, I'm in Lincoln and Chris Stewart, our resource facilitators in Omaha. That doesn't mean we don't serve people across the state. We have connections across the state and want to be there and available to folks to help you kind of navigate those systems and work with our partners at the ADRC to help you be successful in your community. With that, I'll hand it over.
Thank you so much, Peggy. All right, we come to Mar.
I don't know if I can share anything as eloquently as I've heard so far, but I'll endeavor to at least provide some information, whether it's eloquent or not. At the Monroe-Meyer Institute, I work in a program called the University Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities. Not something you want to have to say 3 times real fast, but our acronym is USED, which is not my favorite acronym either, but it's a grant program that is here in Nebraska. We have statewide duties and responsibilities, and there's a USED program, at least one in every state. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention our partner federal programs through the Administration on Community Living, the Protection and Advocacy Program, Disability Rights Nebraska, and then the Nebraska Developmental Disabilities Council. And those are programs we work closely with. But here at the University Center, we have a long history of supporting folks with disabilities and their family members through information and referral. And so when 5 years ago, when the discussion of the ADRC pilot came up, it was just really a naturally fit for us to jump in and see how we could support that effort. We had also been involved in some of the discussions around No Wrong Door. So it just was a really great fit. And we were able to get in on the ground floor from the beginning with Senator Bowles and some of the great partners you're hearing from, the AAAs and the Brain Injury Alliance and the League and Easter Seals. I hope I didn't leave anybody out. But in any case, I wanted to mention that in our role here, I mean, we're really focused on capacity building. And so we do a lot of clinical services at Monroe-Meyer, but in an educational capacity. But we also do technical assistance, we do research, we do a lot of advocacy and systems advocacy work. So in that way, we cross over with a lot of what a lot of folks around the table here, so to speak, do. And we do training in about 15 different disciplines. But again, within the University Center, we're looking to build capacity. And to build capacity, people need to be informed. And to be informed, they have to have access to information. And I really have to echo what Kathy talked about, that one of the goals that we have is we don't want to hear about people slipping through the cracks and saying, I didn't know that. I didn't know how you could find that. I never had heard of that before, because in all truth, all of the partners, including the AAAs, have heard that from the people that we're here to serve. And so coming together as this center, as this Aging and Disability Resource Center or network, has really presented a great opportunity to advance the opportunity to get information to folks through, either conversations, through soft handoffs, through, whatever the case may be, but in an organized way so that as we move forward, we can develop a base of data in terms of how, we're doing. We can look at means to expand our services through Medicaid claiming opportunities. And it's just really exciting for us. We, have just started providing services through the ADRC this year. We have an options counselor, but we also provide, as you saw earlier, everything that an ADRC site provides except for mobility training. That was difficult because we have physical therapists, we have different clinics that provide mobility training, but not necessarily that community component of how you find the bus route. And that's really more of what that involves. And that's, we have other partners here in the Omaha metro area and across the state that are more well suited for that role. And so it's just really a pleasure to see this start to come into a reality. It's been a process. It's not always been a fast process, but I truly share, I think, a vision with all of my partners that have been presenting that there is going to become a time when any Nebraskan that needs to find information out about a disability issue related to them, related to a loved one, or just something that they need to know for whatever reason, has an easy, quick, and efficient way of doing so through the Aging and Disability Resource Center. We're making progress every day. We at Monroe Meyer have been involved in all of the leadership team and the different quality and the consumer reviews, all the different components. And so I say that just to kind of indicate that we're all in because we believe in this project, and we think that only good things are on the horizon. So I don't know what to add to that. So I'll stop there.
Mark, you're eloquent as usual. I've got a couple of questions that are related to ones that are in the chat box. And I want to tell you guys, I've been aware of the ADRC since the early 2000s, before we even got moving here. And I have learned every time I talk to these folks, I learn more. It didn't get gelling in Nebraska for quite a while after they thought about doing that. So it's been wonderful. And I think it would be Mary and or Loya who could answer this one. How do organizations become affiliated with the ADRC? Mary, you're off mute, so go ahead.
Okay. Yes. That's a good question. I would say they should express some interest with the State Unit on Aging. And I know in the past, the State Unit on Aging was very open to accepting other disability partners within the ADRC. So that's kind of beyond the control of this group and goes up to a higher level at the State Unit on Aging. Loya, would you say that's a decent answer to that question?
Yeah, I don't think that there's any more that we could add to that at this point. That would definitely be an issue for them to take up. Great.
I certainly would. I certainly would approach that.
You bet.
I just put the link in the chat box for folks.
Perfect.
Another thing that I have been asked before is, do you have to be on Medicaid to use all this?
No. No,
I'm seeing shaking
absolutely
heads
not.
all the way across for you and in the audience. No, you do not have to be on Medicaid.
And I would like to mention something else too. The ADRC services are available for anybody, whether they're a citizen or not a citizen. The ADRC services. Now, some of the other services that are provided through the various AAAs and the other disability partner agencies, you might have to claim that you're a citizen, but there's no attestation of citizenship required for ADRC services.
I was just going to echo what Mary was saying. You know, when we take a phone call through the ADRC, we don't do any screening processes to it. We're going to listen to what you're asking, your questions, see how we can help out. When we say a person with a disability too, it doesn't necessarily mean a person with a disability that's been verified. I have individuals that will call and say, you know, I have trouble getting in and out of my car. And so it creates a problem for me to get out to go where I need to be to get my groceries. That's not a disability in the eyes of Social Security, but that's something that's creating an issue for you. So definitely, yeah, like Mary said, there is no screening. We're not asking about citizenship. Medicaid is not an issue. Private pay. Now, when it comes to getting services, though, those are the areas where we're going to sort out eligibility for services.
This has been great. I'm not seeing any more questions for everybody. I would like to thank all of you for participating. I've enjoyed very much hearing more, and I expect to learn more in the future. Now, do remember there are other agencies and organizations that you can contact for various things, like the Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing, the Commission on the Blind and Visually Impaired, but anything that you can find is most likely going to be a referral placement for an ADRC. Thank you very much for all your participation.
Hey,
And
Mary,
Kathy, is there what? Yes.
Mary, can we just flash up a couple of things here to end up the
Absolutely.
presentation? Okay,
Absolutely.
okay. Laura, can you go back to the map and to the all
Oh,
of
good.
the, yeah, we have there's a map of all the AAAs in the state. And here are ADRC contacts. I don't know if folks have access to our PowerPoint, but all the contacts of all the different agencies are listed there. And then I would like to, since we've got just a little bit of time, I'd like to just give you some quotes from folks that have used ADRC services, just to kind of wind us up here. Okay, so from an individual, I had no idea of the services offered through the ADRC and came away so much better informed about resources to help me care for my mom at home. From a professional, Brandy was so very helpful. She went out to the shelter and met with the veteran to talk with him about aging services and assisted him with applying for services that could help him. She was knowledgeable and really assisted me with this bit. About benefits assistance, I'm glad you kept helping me fill out the right forms. From a caregiver, Sandra did a great job of answering questions and providing a future path for my mother. Thank you. From an absent caregiver, we get calls from out of state. I'm grateful for the support you provide since I live almost 300 miles away from my mother. I was extremely impressed with the information I received and the knowledgeable way it was presented. Overall, I would rate my phone experience A+. Finally, very helpful, professional, courteous, and explained all the questions I have at this time. So again, please use the ADRC, spread the word about the ADRC. It's an unused resource. We don't have, part of our problem is we really don't have marketing funds right now. So our marketing has to be word of mouth, and we are so grateful to be able to share and have been invited to share with you all today. So thank you, Mary, for all of your work at pulling us together.
Well, I didn't do a heck of a lot. just showed up and they said, you're on. So thank you so very much. Mary, do you guys have an ADRC Facebook page?
We don't.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Loya.
So this is Dawn. I want to thank all of you because this was so full of information. I think all of what you're doing is so special that people do need to know more about this. And I think we should probably figure out a way that we can spread the word more than this. But I do know that Melanie has put the link for the recording in the Dropbox so people can go through this for anything that they've missed. The presentation will be in the recording. And I think more people will learn about the services that are available. And I think that will really help. So I want to thank all of you so much for doing this. We do have a next session. We do these monthly. So on May 6th, we will be having an ADA task force on Nebraska and what the Games and Parks Department have been doing to make our parks accessible. And that'll be at 1 o'clock also. So please join us for that. We will be sending out information on that shortly. Kathy Hull will be sending out emails. I think she's still on. I just see a picture of her. Yeah, I see a picture of her that looks like she's asleep, but
She oftentimes looks like she's asleep when she's just.
but there she is. But no, the one
I heard everything you're saying.
the one thing that I can really relate to is, as a director at a center in Iowa, ADRCs are not always welcome in a lot of states. I've been in Kansas, I've been in Iowa. Sometimes there's a lot of friction between disability and aging places. This is wonderful how this is meshed together like it should be. So, all of the programs, all of the services are what people need. And we have a rural state, a long rural state. People need to have that information. People need to be able to call and have somebody to say, well, we don't do this, but I can give you somebody. And it's just like Kathy said, what Mark said, what everybody has said. So thank you so much for letting people know. That's
Just toss it into your Facebook page or whatever you can think to advertise it for you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Hi, thank you so much. Thank you to the captioner and the interpreter.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, you guys did great. Thank you. I even watched the captioning. It was very
Bye.
cool.
Happy Easter, everyone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you all for the technical support and managing the chats. Melanie, great information in there that you were just throwing out there.
Yeah, very
I do
good.
my best. It's a lot of links, but I do my best.
You did great.
Great.
There were a lot of comments. Thank you to all the presenters and attendees. Well, that was Mark. Thank you for the great presentation. That was Kristen.